of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. All right, okay, and I do have everybody here today, so we do have a quorum. Okay, so we'll go ahead and call for other business items. I know I do have one. I believe Eric, you have one also.
Yes, there's an event request for the Thursday market to move outside
All
for
right,
the season that I'd like to add to other business.
perfect. So we will go ahead and add that. We also, I wanted to add on, for the Sotos to potentially use the back gravel lot, for their 4th of July fireworks display as well. And that would be dependent, or depending on if they are able to use the high school or not. Does anybody have any other they'd like to add? Nope. No, nice. That's a nice try, but no. All right.
Moved and seconded.
Not how this works, not how any of this works. So I would entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I so will. I'll second that. Comment?
Hey. Been moved and seconded. Any comments?
Yes.
Yes.
In the minutes regarding the park host contract,
Mm-hmm.
I want to be on record saying that I believe this contract is illegal and it's not in the minutes. And I made it very clear that I believe it's illegal and I want to be on record.
Okay. All right, I've got.
What are you doing? Well, maybe you.
All right, any other discussion? All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right,
Aye.
motion carried. All right, so we will go ahead and move on to department reports. PD usually reports at the beginning of the month. Do you happen to have anything for us today?
Beginning of the month, yeah.
Sure. Perfect, and then City Hall.
Oh. For City Hall, the trees were trimmed, down at the park. Paul's looking into planting some more trees. He's gonna get us some pricing over the next couple months. We are officially switched over to the cloud. The City Hall assessment grant, I did get an update from Mike Johnson. He said he checked with his structural and architectural folks. We have made some progress on the analysis, but have been delayed by people being out of the office. We can commit to having a report prepared and submitted to you by end of May. I have been working on policies and procedures. I did go to that bars workshop 2 weeks ago, and there's a lot of catch up as far as City Hall structure, procedures, policies, that kind of thing. So I spent most of this week working on that, and that's pretty much it for this.
Any questions for Rachel?
Did the UP2 transfer go well?
Yep, so I have a couple of questions. It's just as of this morning, so we're just kind of getting all the hiccups out of the way. I'm waiting to hear from Dalton. I'll probably hear from him tomorrow.
So the cloud stuff,
Quiet.
does it feel faster than this
No.
old server?
Not yet.
All right, any more questions? All right, so we'll go ahead and move on to Public Works. I've got their report here. So operations are back to normal. There was an emergency sewer repair done on the main line at St. Helens Street by the funeral home. Spencer's Trucking was doing some work on the sewer lateral for the funeral home when they discovered that there was a section missing and a large hole in the sewer main. They did a good job and they were super easy to work with, John said. Sunday morning, John received a call from the school district about a sewer backup. He came in at 8 a.m. to investigate the main lines and discovered that there was no flow coming in from their lateral. While they were running water, it was determined the plug was on their side and would check in the following day when the plumber was out. He jetted the line and finally broke through the plug. The plug was in the 6-inch line by 3 other businesses, 2 of which are restaurants. The plumber said the plug looked like a thick slurry of grease. We completed our usual weekly mowing and put the trim up around the inside of the newly installed PD door, and they finished cleaning up the windfall tree along the access road for well 1, so if they're off the watershed. Any questions for Public Works?
Do we charge when we have to go out and it's not our end?
Yep. I sent a bill.
So do we have a process in place to consider to make sure that this grease trap stuff is in their businesses is
I was gonna bring that to council next.
great?
Yep.
Thank you.
Absolutely. All right, perfect. So we'll go and move on to council reports. Not a whole lot that I had to report. Just been in an awful lot of meetings regarding annexation. We was in a meeting with Department of Health regarding the water systems as well, but nothing new to report currently. Emily?
Oh, let's see, we had the 50 movie here, not too long ago, thank you, Lions Club, for putting that on, that went really well. Went down, checked it out with Helen, it was fun. Let's see, there was no quorum for the park board meeting. So we could not talk about the trash receptacle, so I would like for us to decide on that if we could. Because for Clean Up Toledo, I really would love to have that available for our citizens. If we can figure that out. Because there's a lot of trash in town. And let's see. Let's see, yes, I got an email. I had set up 2 recycling programs this year. The next one will be in October. And one more thing, I read a write-up about Olympia getting dinged on REIT taxes. So I think we need to have an idea on how we're gonna spend those. I don't know, but that was just, I was like, oh my gosh, so,
Has to be on planning.
yeah, anyway, and that's it. Oh, thank you.
So I went to plant growth meeting. To go over the work that Todd and I were doing on the new UGA and that went well. They seemed amenable. We were slightly over on our land request based on needs from the plant growth numbers that I think we all saw those as to what our 20-year growth looks like, but it was almost a rounding error, and there's still land in there that's not going to be as developable as it looks. Their only concern is if we do anything to trigger an environmental safety study, then they'll need to postpone because they're too busy during this 20-year thing. So, which is fine, you know, we were doing it early because they asked for it. We really don't need the new UGA quite yet. We haven't quite even finished the annexation. I did a review of 2024 budget expenses to budget. Rachel and I have yet to go over that. I didn't see anything too overly scary. A couple areas, but I think we're going to be doing a budget amendment anyway.
Yep.
Just a little bit of work on the water rate study, getting ready for this council meeting since most of the work was done. And so that was nice to get some of my time back. I think that's about it.
Nothing to report. I've got them come out wide.
Both of my children have turned another year older, which makes me older. Other than that, I've got it.
I'm just gonna say, I'm gonna need this side of the table to step it up next meeting, please.
We'll manufacture.
All right, so we'll go ahead and move on to the committee reports, and we've got someone here from Planning Commission. Stop moving.
Someone, yes.
Stop moving around.
Hi, A couple of things, the rezoning workshop happened again before planning commission meeting. And I think we're moving in the right direction. We all took home little homework sheets to sort of diagram for ourselves where we thought we would change some zoning. One of the items that did come up was how much our citizens rebelled against high density in the downtown core. And I think coming in the next month or so, because there doesn't appear to be a hurry, there will be something from planning commission making a recommendation to council to issue a moratorium on high density building within the downtown core until we get our zoning finalized and can go to public hearing. See what else.
While you're thinking, I like that you guys are working on that, because I think you and I having to do so much singing and dancing to Kurt, not building a 3-story monster.
Yes.
We won't dodge that bullet again.
Yeah.
And I don't think we would dodge that bullet, but I think that's why, I think there's nothing down the chute that anyone sees in the forthcoming month or two. But it might be something, I think Todd indicated, he thought that by next planning commission, we could get something ordered that would be very particular to the downtown area. He says when you start to have a construction moratorium in general, it raises a lot of other bad issues, and we don't really want to do that. What we want to do is identify our most singular problem, which is we don't want high density residential in our downtown core. So if we can issue a moratorium on that construction until our rezoning takes effect, then it will not become an issue anymore. We're also discussing the zoning of the outlying areas for the UGA expansion, so we'll be looking at that as well. But we decided to start downtown and work our way out. I did get a notification that there is a public hearing in the next planning commission meeting for Kurt on his developments. And as you all know, Henry has suffered a stroke and is no longer part of the community. She put her house up for sale. I think by necessity, because she is in that facility. So we'll see who else has some objections to that. I think that's it.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Always.
So are they opposed to apartments being in the downtown core, or?
Well, I think what we have to do is isolate some areas where we would anticipate, the state is gonna want us to move our high residential down to the city center. There are some parcels that are legitimately favorable towards apartment buildings from an aesthetic standpoint and from meeting that criteria with the state. But the downtown core, from 2nd Street, from Augustus heading south, I don't think that we want apartment buildings in that area. At least the citizenry made that pretty clear when they came in for the last public hearing. And so part of our venture in rezoning is to try to identify areas where it might be possible. The mandates by the state, and I think one of the things that was brought up at the workshop was that we will keep this downtown core as historical as we can and try to formulate it or process it to the point where it mimics some other downtown historical cities where it will become a destination for people to come shop. But the truth of the matter is, as we grow and we expand, there's going to be another part of the city that's going to be a center for commercial activity as well, and that's going to be out by Highway 5. And it is so much more amenable to high density construction out there because of the I-5 availability. It's already on State Route 505. But a lot of the services that will be able to be provided that we can't provide downtown will be able to do that. So there may be some trade-off we'll have to work very hard as a city to distinguish our downtown so that it becomes a destination spot, as opposed to just being a sprawling city, which some have become. So,
Well, cause I've heard previously that, you wanna encourage more businesses downtown and,
part of
the
that, and
businesses
you're right, part of that,
require
we want.
more customers.
We wanted to look at the idea of retail with living quarters overhead. Kind of a mixed use retail. And that is part of the plan, is to offer that opportunity. I mean, Donna's is a perfect example with the bar down below and living quarters up above. There's no reason why that couldn't be duplicated in a different fashion, but somewhere else in retail strip.
Mm.
Well, and there's already, there's already quadruplexes, when you call them, down like on Augustus.
I don't think that's what we're talking about. I think we're talking about, the
Mixed use.
12-plex,
Well,
yeah,
stories,
yeah.
somebody coming in and demolishing a city block.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Do you want to speak a little bit to the added ADU mandate from the state? Is that, there's some,
Well, the ADU mandate by the state indicates that, I mean, if you have a single family residence, you cannot stop them from building an ADU. And in fact, you could actually build an ADU that's larger than the original house. The city has some restrictions on what it can require that ADU to have. It needs to be separate. It needs to have its own services. But you cannot require them to make certain improvements based on the fact that they're building another building.
But we do still have our setbacks and our 50% lot.
We still get our setbacks. And, but we have 8,000 square foot lots out there, so I mean, there's a lot of homes that could use that, but who's got $200,000 or $300,000 lying around to add an ADU just for grants and gables?
That falls in line with our intention anyway, when we reduce the lot sizes. So whether you divide your lot and build a second house, or whether you take your, you take your side yard and build something, it's the same end result. And I think we're gonna get that increase. I mean, we've got 97 homes in Callis Meadows, and then another 198 in the annexation. And that's before we even start moving out 505. So we'll potentially double our population in 5 years that way, which is a lot. And then, a small increase in infill.
And I agree with Eric. I think that what we're gonna see there is that if we properly manage our downtown improvement program, that downtown Toledo will be a place that people actually wanna come and live, and they will eat those little 4,000 square foot lots up in a minute and build homes. And so I think it's a win-win.
Part of my lot, I'm sorry, I didn't interrupt a whole lot, but part of my, the lot analysis that we did, parcel analysis we did, revealed like 22 or 23 buildable spots in Toledo through infill in the old town. So that's significant.
Yeah, my concern is that people are not being asked to kind of temper that, because change is bad, change is always bad. And change is not bad. It's just different.
And it just has to be mitigated properly.
And that's the thing, is like, if you mitigate it properly and you are able to communicate that in an effective manner, then you won't get the pushback that,
Yeah.
has been pushed.
I think the city has digested our growth attitude pretty well. I mean, for the last 2 or 3 years, we've spoken to it at the big meetings. We've addressed it at the Chamber of Commerce meeting. Certainly during public hearings or during public meetings, we've been very open about what is needed to make the city survive. And I have not heard as much resistance as I thought I would. Most people that want you to understand the cost of services cannot remain stagnant, because labor goes up and materials go up, and in order to make those increases, you have to increase your population, or you have to increase your taxes. And people are generally more willing to increase population than they are to dip into their pocket.
Yes.
I mean, I'd personally rather see the places in town, like the empty places built up and the empty houses lived in, than see our fields built up. But that will come in time, I'm
think
sure, you
They're
know.
gonna go hand in hand,
Yeah.
definitely. I think that, you know, the done properly, and we make this, the
Yeah.
downtown core, an attractive place to live. There'll be no shortage of people that wanna come in and take advantage of those empty houses and empty lots and the single wides that will disappear and
Yeah. Okay,
Well,
any,
those single wides are from 1930, come on, they're pieces of history. Take that away.
Exactly.
Come on.
okay, so we're gonna go ahead and move on. You didn't, no other questions,
Thank you.
correct?
No,
All right, thank you.
I
We'll
did
go ahead and
watch
move on to the park board. Anybody want to speak?
Cutting grass.
Okay.
Cutting grass, bathrooms, bathrooms are completed.
Yep.
And repaired, they're open, I got people starting to pull in. We're getting ready for the season.
Perfect.
We're gonna have, I think I counted 9 reservations, 8 or 9 reservations for one weekend, so.
Nice.
It'll be a good looking fun.
Perfect.
And go on that.
All right, so no public hearing tonight, no special presentation. Is there any public comment on agenda items? All right, we will go ahead and move on to new business. We will be starting with the ordinance 801.
I make
And
a
we're-
motion that
Can
we,
you wait?
oh, you want me to wait?
I would like you to
Okay,
wait.
sure,
Thank
I'll
you.
wait.
An ordinance of the city of Toledo, Washington, creating a designated fund for hotel and motel tax revenues to be used exclusively for promoting tourism as required by RCW 67.28.1816.
I make a motion that we approve ordinance 801, establishing a fund for the hotel and motel tax.
I'll second it.
All right, it's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion?
Thank you, Rachel, for catching us up on this one.
Yes, appreciate it.
So we need an ordinance to establish a fund. That's not just a treasurer's.
No, that's mandatory.
And that's including the fund number, so that's baked into this, that we're gonna have to have a new ordinance if you end up needing to change that number.
What do you mean?
Well, we're mandating fund number 110.
I pulled up the old ordinances. That's how they always did
Oh,
the old
okay.
funds, but it does have to be that
Okay, great.
fund number, yeah.
Thank you. And Emily, she's required to read. The minutes.
Do we have any
That's
other discussion?
Just jumped into it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, motion carries. So we will move on to resolution 292A. A resolution adopting the grant procurement policy for the city of Toledo, Washington.
I would like to make a motion that this needs more discussion before we have it in front of us.
What would you like to discuss about it?
And I need a second first before we.
As soon as we get a second.
I'll second that.
Okay, so the problem I have with it is the second whereas at the end of that where it says on the mayor's authority in emergency grant situations. I don't want to be in a position where there's a large match that people responsible for the spending, that's council, don't have a say.
But it does say if matching funds are required, council approval is needed before entering in any contract.
Involving, yeah, approval of grants involving matching funds
Right,
and the mayor's authority. I'm not and or.
no. I read this such that the mayor's authority is superseded
No,
the previous, we're in an emergency.
and it's almost a
It's a comma,
contradiction.
yeah.
It's almost a contradiction in the actual policy itself because it still has to go back for matching funds to council.
Okay, great, then I will amend my motion that we accept the ordinance 292A.
I'll second it.
All right, it's Then moved, the amended motion's been moved and seconded. Do we have any further discussion?
I do, so you are appointing the person in charge of a grant, or how's that working?
So currently, right now, Joe seems to be doing a good chunk of our grants, but everything has to go through us. She can't just be like, I'm gonna apply for this grant, I'm gonna do it all, I'm gonna sign. It has to be headed up by the city.
Right, but let's say there's a different category of grants and Joe's not gonna do it, then it still has to come to council. Who's gonna handle it?
Yes.
Yeah, so something like that, like right now, we've got Taryn working on a grant and. So it would be probably on the chief to actually submit that grant, being the department head. So it'd be the chief would ultimately submit, but we're all kind of working on them. Anything that needs matching funds is gonna have to come through you guys.
But ultimately, it would be you, Sherry saying.
Go for it.
Go for it, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
I prefer us being out of the way of slowing anything down until it comes to the point where.
Matching
approving
funds,
yeah.
Right,
So
and
and
that's why,
that means applying for it until you get approved, and then it can come to us and we can say,
Exactly.
no, we don't have $1 million in matching funds, and then
Right.
you've wasted your time, which is, I'm fine with that.
Mhm.
Because I know these things tend to be.
You gotta,
They
you
tend
gotta-
Right
to-
away.
They tend to be ready, fire, aim.
right,
Yeah.
Rush,
yeah.
Yeah.
so it's good for us to not be in the way.
Any
I mean,
further?
everybody else disagree.
I'm just trying to get clarification on how
Yeah.
things are going.
Any further discussion? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, motion carries. Next up is the proposal for the new law enforcement officer position. You're up. And for anybody who does not know or has not had the chance to meet him, this is our newest officer, Officer Carter.
Hey, I think, no, most of you guys are around. Pleasure, with that.
You ate my cookies.
So, with the new proposal that we're putting out, so, chief is, let me spearhead this portion, was creating a new position for, or not creating, but, attempting to get a grant as well as approval for a new officer position, obviously with the expanding city, which has been a large topic for today. Currently, it's just the chief and I to handle those areas, so, a grant that came up is a cops hiring grant, which, has the potential to pay up to 75% of the new officer's position for 3 years. With the intent that over that 3-year period, obviously there'd be a ladder increase, which that's noted here in the proposal as well. And then by the 4th year, that as we grow out and everything like that, that we can solidify that position. And then expand from there if needed, depending on where we are as a city, as well as total population, buildings, businesses, all that jazz.
no, they've all got it.
Okay.
And so does the council need to
Yeah,
give
so-
them an okay or?
Yeah,
Where is Mac?
so for this piece of it, the biggest thing is this is more of the approval to go forward with the grant. If we do get the grant approved, we would come back to council for the final numbers, everything like that for the approval on that. We just don't want to go through the whole process of submitting this and then having.
Since it will be a 25% out of pocket for us.
Yeah.
Yeah, so total is gonna be about $60,000 over the next 3 years. And that's it for an officer, and that's what all does it include? It's,
That's a backloaded 60,000. so.
yeah.
Mhm.
I mean, that includes. I mean, everything from onboarding to uniforms, right? Or is that just the wages?
It's just it's the wage package, so base salary, insurance, kind of the total compensation package
Okay.
that we have for the officers. And then as far as for additional pieces, like if we're needing equipment and different things like that, there's other grants available for that piece of it as well. Right now, the primary focus is just on getting it going for the new position.
Do you feel that we need three vehicles, since I see us having 3 police officers driving around at the same time?
Well, we wouldn't have all 3 of us on at the same time, so there'd be flex up and that would be up with the chief as far as scheduling and different things like that, but we would need at least 3 vehicles.
You think you need really?
Did we get the Winlock? Did we get the Winlock vehicle?
Things horrifying.
That's the scariest part of this whole thing. for me.
So portion of that as well. So Joe brought to our attention during the last couple of meetings we've had regarding this grant coming up. That there's was it FDA backed grant that she was looking at for us that would actually help cover the cost for a new vehicle for the city. There's also other options as far as WSP's pool, so when they cycle out their vehicles that.
I've seen Winlock doing that, and
Yeah.
they're buying, at about a quarter of the cost we're
Right.
spending. Okay,
And in this grant, does this bind us to it?
No, this is.
Just the
not
application.
gonna get the money.
This is basically just the approval to go forward and actually submit for the grant, and then once we get the approval on the grant, then we would come back to council for the final decision.
Yeah.
You guys
I
would
make
review
a
the
motion-
contract.
I make a motion of it. Great, keep talking.
Let me rephrase it. If we apply for this grant and we receive it, is there anything that we are bound to do other than hiring an officer?
So the only components that they have for the grant is it's hiring a new position, it has to be in addition to our current budget, so we can utilize it, say, cover my position. So it has to be a new officer's position, and then there's subcategories to it that we can apply with, so, the direction that we are going with the grant, or looking to go with the grant is community engagement, so. How is this officer's position gonna help with engaging with the community, whether it be with churches, business, stuff that we're already doing, as well as, better response times, like right now, we have a lot of on-call time stuff, or especially at night, so how's that gonna cover down and cover those pieces of it? But it's a very generalized topic that allows us to kind of maneuver within that, gives a lot of room for playing with that. But as far as like specific guidelines with it, we don't have that. If that
Okay.
makes sense.
Yep, I just want to make sure we don't have to keep it for the next 10 years because we got.
No, there's no stipulations.
So I'll make a motion that we give the go ahead to the PD department to seek these grants.
I'll second.
All right, it's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? All right, all those in favor? Opposed? All right, motion carried. You have to go ahead.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, so moving on to the next one, we do have the El Tejano special events permit.
I make a motion that we approve El Tejano special event permit for Tuesdays.
I'll second it.
All right, moved and seconded. Any discussion?
I would like to ask them to point their speakers.
The other
away
way.
From the residents.
That means they're pointing it my way, though.
Yeah,
No,
but
but
you
they have a larger buffer, they literally,
To the
It's Tuesdays. It's only one day of the year, come on.
no, it's too nice.
It is.
Last year it went into like 2
But
a.m.
are you gonna get Donna to do the same?
She does.
Does she? Okay,
Yes.
so, I mean, we can definitely talk to him. It's his first year, so.
I know, that's why I was hoping we could.
So I would like to point out on the Title III that we never covered tonight. That it actually says you're not supposed to have alcohol outdoors.
It's roped in.
Yeah,
It's rough.
you can if it's contained.
It's indoor, outdoors.
Yeah.
From the city.
Yeah.
And yeah, special event.
Hence the special event.
Yes.
It's good catch.
Yep.
Yeah.
Like,
Do we have any further discussion? All right, all those in favor?
I.
All right, opposed? All right, motion carries. So we will move on to the last new business item, which is the Thursday market shade structure.
I make a motion where we accept the Thursday market's request for a shade structure, open holes in our.
I'll second that.
All right, it has been moved and seconded. Any discussion?
Yes. And I'm not because I'm picking on, Carol, I'm sorry, I know. Okay. Have you talked to the Lions Club? Cause they're flush. And about money, because I know that, they've got lots of money right now and also, that, Lions Club, Thursday Market. And have you ever thought about doing your own 501?
We
Okay, so
In a roundabout.
at the Lions Club meeting, when I was there a couple weeks ago, they were, suggesting they had spread a whole lot of money around very quickly, so I didn't want to just show up in the meeting, and go, hey, I need money.
Do it
Okay,
anytime.
I'm planning on the next meeting, I'm going to go ask them for some help,
Okay,
yes.
yes.
In terms of our own 501c3, it's a boatload of paperwork. It's a requirement for a formal board with minutes and just a raft of other requirements. And I would need to gather another whole handful of volunteers to be able to do that.
Yeah.
We're gonna look into it, maybe next year, it might be a possibility.
Mhm.
Right now, we don't have the humans to make
Yeah.
that work in the full sense of what's required.
Oh, okay.
So we spoke about, Carol and I spoke about, potentially having this available for things other than just Thursday market. If the city wanted to put something on, or if, in combined,
I have some
in
information.
conjunction, yeah. So like maybe we could do a fundraiser on there or something, and
Did you say PowerPoint?
Yeah, I can, PowerPoint is the best of anybody.
where's your clicker?
I know. Tell me when to switch sides.
So the biggest problem is July out there,
Oh, yeah.
we toast people badly. What we find is in 85 degrees or even a little bit higher, we start losing customers at an exponential rate. Temperature on that pavement runs around 140 degrees, 136 degrees, and that's just 85 degrees. Last year, we canceled the market completely. And it gets over 90, pretty much just forget it. So the fact that in July and into August, we're averaging $3,500 a week in sales. Crops don't stop ripening just because it's too hot. Vendors melt, we gotta do something because our customer base is severe. So what we're trying to do is figure out how to put up a significant amount of shade that we can put up and take down within an hour on either end of it, and something that doesn't weigh literally 1.5 tons to maneuver. So we're looking at doing 1,600 square feet of shade cloth. And I can do that with the ground sleeves in place with a little bit, around 500 pounds total. If I have the same amount in canopies, I need 16 canopies times whatever it is. I think I've got it in here. It's like 2,200 pounds to move twice at the beginning and then. So it's really just not doable to have that amount of shade if I'm gonna use canopies. So what we've picked out is this really spiffy stuff. It's outlined on the third page. It's called Illuminate, and it's stuff that commercial growers of orchids use. It's 30% shade or 30% light coming through. It's got this really spiffy aluminum weaving in it. So it's gonna drop the temperature probably 15 to 20 degrees underneath it in the middle of summer, which is a huge thing to do for my vendors, but also for customers that I can't deal with this. I'm not showing up to market. Here you go, we got a mist system, we got chairs, you're comfy. So that's what we're trying to do. And the other thing that we can do is if other groups in the community want to use it for, I don't know, cheese days or whatever else is going on, it's easy to put up and take down. When the Toledo Learning Garden had their dedication for their greenhouse, we loaned them all of our canopies and whatever else. So we're open to having other people use stuff, obviously, it'd be kind of crummy if we didn't. But right now, we've got it worked out for a little, right around $4,000 is gonna be our cost plus cement. So yeah, I'm gonna talk to Lions.
Yeah.
Is that installed? I'm sorry, yeah.
My only thing is like, I would talk to the Lions Club first before talking to us, because they have a lot, they have thousands and thousands
they're
of
not gonna
dollars.
I'm not coming to you guys for
Yeah,
money.
she's just.
Oh,
No.
it's like-
Yeah.
That's for money and like, oh my gosh.
So we don't have any.
I just want holes in the ground.
Yeah,
The answer's no.
Ah.
Yeah,
I
we're
was
a real dumb.
I wish we could give you money.
No.
Yeah, go to Lions Club for money,
Yeah.
but, Yes.
Yeah, this is just to put the shade, to be allowed to put the shade structure. 'cause it's-
Yeah, if we, the only other option is
I
to
don't wanna
sink
know.
those poles in cement buckets and I'm right back to where.
Yeah,
I-
no.
So-
Yeah,
So,
we-
Would be doing the holes.
Public Works.
and
Okay, so they would,
And I've talked with John a little bit about it.
as long as they have oversight as to
Yeah,
whatever.
Right, I have the shade cloth on order now.
That's awesome.
And I've got the sleeves on order. So as soon as we get everything laid out, I can go out to the parking lot and go to here and here and here and here.
And will it be so that, fishermen and stuff can still drive over them?
Yep.
And,
Yep, there's a bolted neoprene cap, it's in your spec sheet. That fits over the hole and you take a Allen wrench and tighten it and it expands to fill the hole up. So you can jump around on it, whatever you wanna
Then
do.
you don't get debris.
no water, no rock,
Right.
no, yep.
I like the idea of not only Thursday market, but other things, which could be whether it's a city fundraiser or.
Whatever.
or-
And that's a good bit of shade.
Yeah.
yeah.
Any further discussion? No, all right, all those in favor?
I,
Opposed? Perfect, motion carries. You are welcome. Don't,
I really feel that you need to rent it out.
Yeah.
So you can recover.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes,
Okay, I like it.
Seriously.
yes.
It's gotta be in one place though, we can't all have one around.
That's
Yeah.
right.
No, set it up in the summertime and rent it out, and then like next door is the.
No, it doesn't stay at home.
Might take it.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I'm just saying,
Yeah.
whatever.
All right, moving on to unfinished business. We've got the Thursday market liquor license.
Okay, so. Couple of things. First off, the market has self-insured now. This is based on Emily's comments and me talking to the Lions Club. We are carrying twice the amount of insurance as required by the city, where city requires 1 million and 2 million. I've got 2 and 4. Whatever happens, I got the city covered. In speaking with Three Dog Cidery, they're in the process of working with their insurance company to get their policies sorted out and get the indemnifications on that. But regardless of that, they don't show up at market unless I have copies of their insurance. So they will not be there unless it comes through. And I made it very, very clear to them, because we're going out June 6th, this first day.
Mhm.
They don't show up with insurance, they don't show up at market at all.
Mhm.
Separate from that is the issue of the approval from the city simply for the liquor license. Because it's a 16-day cycle, we are at day 16.
That's what we need to-
If we have another delay, I can't go through the state this year to get it done. So what I'd like to do, if we need to, is to get your approval with the provision that it's clearly understood that if they don't have insurance, they don't show up on market, period.
I make a motion, we accept this proposal with the contingency or with the caveat that they have insurance.
I'll second that.
All right,
And
it
that you provide it to the city.
Additional
it
insurance.
has been moved and seconded. Further discussion?
Oh, yeah, so that you have to make sure that it lists Toledo as additional insured.
And it will, similar
good.
to what the policy I
Yeah.
dropped off for.
Yeah, I sent you all that.
And I appreciate that you gave us all the documentation where I could read in here that it calls that he has the endorsement and that you just
Mhm.
need to have the liquor license and not the endorsement, so that was good.
Yeah, she had everything.
Great.
Any further discussion? All right,
All
all those in favor?
Aye.
So that anyone gets preview.
No.
Yeah.
Well,
Opposed?
you can get 1 2-ounce
Aye.
sample per day. on
Oh,
first.
sure.
Was that a vote for aye?
Yeah. All right, so we are moving on to other business.
You're not gonna-
Anything?
I'll get it sent off tomorrow.
So the first thing that on the other business item is overflow parking behind City Hall. So with the market moving outside and in the interest of not crowding downtown like we have every year, we have discussed, and I had Public Works go out and look too, but I wanted council's input and approval and go ahead. We We can for the summertime, just put lines out here in the gravel lot. We can get 17 spots. They're 10 feet long or, yeah. 10 feet long,
Wide.
10 feet wide, 20 feet long. And then there's enough space in between the two rows for them to make a complete circle. So like all of the trailers or, you know, whatever's out here it's easy in, easy out for them. It keeps them off the street. And it'll allow them to be, you know, hey, park back here behind City Hall. You can cross right at the crosswalk right into the market. So I just wanted to go ahead to be able to paint the lines out there and allow people to park back
So
there.
you're gonna paint the gravel?
Yeah, they can paint the gravel.
Do we have paint or are we buying paint?
I'm pretty sure we got the spray paint out there. John said we had everything we needed.
I know that we have 2 push spray painters, but the one of them looked like it was left torn apart.
Oh, we'll have Jay put it back together. Sounds like a fun project for him. So is that something that
That's
people
fantastic.
are okay with?
Yeah.
Okay, it's a temporary solution to a long-standing problem that needs to be addressed somewhere, but this gets us through busy season for the market at minimum.
I would want to make sure those crosswalk lines
Mhm.
on the across the highway
Mhm.
are sharpened,
Repainted, I'm just gonna say that.
just
If
they
we're gonna
need
do
to
that, it's gonna be there needs to be, redone, and then maybe something posted as well, and we can do emphasis control on that.
be, and
Okay.
on the hardware store side. I've seen some sketchy things done with people exiting.
Yep.
And they have to really watch the bridge.
Mhm.
And some of them don't even look that way, they just take off, so it's. It just needs to be highlighted, a yield sign coming out of that area.
And I do feel like, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but usually during the outdoor market, people are docking, so they slow down a little bit in that area. That's just been what
No.
I have seen.
No, they do not. Not unless we're sitting there, then they do.
No.
If we're not there, they come flying through there. Like Steve, you know, we can we could probably post a Winlock car with the speed deterrent sign on there if they're again.
Mhm.
Get them to slow down that way and do an emphasis patrol.
That made a
Start
big
pulling people
difference
over.
last year.
Yeah.
Last season,
Yeah.
having that, you are going.
But when that's not in place, they're just flying through. That's why Kathy says we need that crosswalk redone because I'm telling you, it's an accident waiting to happen.
Okay. Yes,
And if we're gonna allow parking out there, that's gonna increase our risk because we're allowing it. And so if there's no caution sign posted.
That's a great idea. No, she means that you park here and you leave your stuff in your car at your own risk.
We are not
Well,
responsible for items.
That too, but no, watch what you're doing crossing the street because they're gonna mow you down.
yeah.
Now, in previous seasons, we have a fairly good percentage of customers that go and park back there and come across.
Mhm.
Maybe we'll have a stoplight.
It's like watching.
Yeah.
Frogger.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
I'm not kidding you, it's not, it's gonna be, so you might wanna consider, the council and the mayor might wanna consider maybe generating a small, letter that we could put into every mailbox in the post office to let people know. The parking is being redone, there's gonna be more traffic, can you guys just slow it down? Give people a chance to understand what we're doing. Not, just so they're driving down the road, so we're just standing there, going, you guys need to slow down, at least educate them.
Our REIT two taxes are able to be used for traffic safety, isn't that right?
Maybe limited, correct?
I think REIT one has, you can do streets with REIT one, but not REIT two.
I'm just wondering if somewhere down that road, we don't end up we'll get the red light into the one intersection and put the flashing pedestrian signs on
There.
another.
Yeah,
That'd be good.
That'd be great.
okay. So I've got to go ahead there, right?
Yeah, I don't think you need a motion.
Okay. And then we did have the last minute out of the event permit for the Thursday market.
Yep, and I gave everyone.
Just for them to move from inside to outside.
I'll make a motion that we accept the special event permit application for Thursday market to go outside.
I will second that motion.
Okay, it has been moved and seconded. Any discussion? All right, all those in favor? Opposed? All right, motion carries. Then we also have for the other business, to, if the Sotos are not able to get the high school to hold their fireworks display back here in the gravel lot. Did you guys want to speak to that?
Yeah. So as you guys know, our fireworks display has grown to where we have like 400 to 500 spectators coming from Olympia, Packwood, down south, right into that. This is something that we don't charge for, we pay for it out of our pocket. And so our space is kind of, we've outgrown it. And so we're trying to get approval at the high school to do it in the back practice field. But if it doesn't go through, then we were hoping to do it back here because it's a safer venue than doing it in front of everybody's houses, even though we water down roofs and we saturate everything days before. And we also, you know, the next day we go through and we pick up all of our garbage as much as we can. So it's been kind of like a community thing. And so we were hoping to have it at the high school because we've been discussing with Dwayne, it would be good for each of the grades in high school to have their own, their own fundraisers to get money for their classes, for their class field trips, for their proms, stuff like that. We don't ask for anything. Most of you guys know we lost our son a couple years ago at the Trestle drowning. And so last year we started just bringing a box around for like donations, because now we have created a memorial scholarship in his name where we offer 2 $500 scholarships to students. So this is pretty much something that we do because we love our community. We support the Lions Club with our fireworks that we buy. But we're hoping to bring a lot of revenue to Toledo. Vader does it. Jake's offered us $6,000 in product to host a Vader fireworks show, and we turned it down because we want to keep it Toledo. That's where we are. That's what we love. So we would rather bring the money here than outsource it to Vader. So we're hoping that we could host it here. Plus, we have had the chief, they said that, you know, they would help us by, you know, preventing fires, which luckily, not only we've never had that happen, we're pretty safe. But we purchase all the fireworks and stuff. We just need an area that's safe. And you guys don't have to pay for it.
The only thing we need to consider is insurance and then indemnification. So it's on city property.
And there's a whole bank of trees out there that.
And we could also
So-
talk with the fire department being right here
Well,
to
that
have
was-
them.
That was.
Yeah.
my
You also look at it,
consideration is,
impact
are
on-
they gonna be around?
Impact on water as well. If anything gets in the water, that's kind of concern. I like the idea of the high school better. Do you have a meeting coming up?
We submitted the paperwork to the high school. Ultimately, it's up to them to decide if we can use it. It would be better to be up there because they can saturate the fields, you know, prior. We can kind of monitor who comes in and out of the high school, you know.
Who are you talking to at the high school?
We just submitted the paperwork to the,
I'll start working on that.
yeah, but it would be nice to have it up there. Each, like I said, each class can have a booth set up to do it, so, and then make like a little mini carnival type thing like Dwayne was talking about. We've been talking over months about it. So it's something that we would like to offer. If not, we can, so we do.
About how far does the debris end up? I know it depends on wind and stuff, but
Yeah.
Dwayne's talking about the river.
Like I said, we water our neighbors, you know, Karen, before she passed, she said as long as you water my river, I don't care what you do. Now it's been taken over by some other people. We still water everything. And then the next day, the debris goes, you know, just to adjacent properties, but we go to every single property with a blower. We hand pick stuff up. We have volunteers that can help us.
Dwayne's point, those things that fall into the cowlitz itself, that he can't really pick that up, but I just wondered how much impact that might have. Yeah, depends on the wind.
Yeah, the majority of the stuff that falls within where our house is at. And maybe the adjacent houses across the street. Obviously, there's stuff that are gonna be.
Sure,
further than that.
yeah.
That's the majority of it. We clean up in our front of our street where it's actually going off at, and then our front yard. Or maybe the neighbor's house and across is where the majority of the stuff lands.
So pretty much straight up. and
Yeah,
down.
pretty much,
Yeah.
straight up. So you're talking about, I don't know, maybe a 40 by 40 spot, for the 40 yards by 40 yards, for the most part. Obviously, there's gonna be stray stuff.
The back,
We cut off all the fireworks too, so it cuts back actually on the debris.
the back of City Hall to the river is 211 feet.
We should be good as long as we're not back over towards the water.
We've never had anything that we've looked that goes beyond our neighbor's house. So our front yard to the neighbor's house, like we go in between and pick up everything, so we never see anything go beyond it. And we go and we check out.
Yeah, exactly.
They could line the bridge.
You know, but if you were set up in the parking lot, people could go walk on the Forties and Ramsey's property across the street here.
Yeah.
Grass.
Well, so the good thing is like, obviously, if the high school doesn't work out, where you guys are at here, you have this street that's not gonna be that busy. Cause right now, people are on Fifth Street, which is the busiest street, right?
Yeah.
Wait,
It's
it's a nightmare.
Well, I mean, you can block this.
Yeah, so you
Block
have
this
this,
off.
anywhere downtown, you're gonna be able to see.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's either gonna go up high. So you're gonna be able to see it. We're gonna use obviously bigger ones that we normally do because we're not gonna have, the building's gonna be in the way. But from the water, where the people park at the boat launch and see it, and the bridge, like anywhere down in this lower area, you're going to see it, I promise.
So how big is the area you need to light them from? Could we set you up in the street out front here? Then you're nowhere near going to the
Yeah,
water?
Blocked off.
Yeah, let people walk out the street and do it in front of City Hall.
Yeah.
That's actually a good idea.
And
Yeah.
I mean, maybe talk to the Forties and Ramsey's, cause that giant grass.
Yeah, we just
Lot.
soak it. soak
And
it.
we'll have parking there if people wanna drive. Yeah.
Front, so only problem I see is there are lines there. You have electrical.
Oh,
lines.
gotcha.
So it's, I mean, it's enough room, but I'd rather have a little bit more room
Okay,
than that. That's the biggest thing. That's why I went outside and looked.
yeah.
Yeah,
If
that's
the
why
line
we're,
were right there across the street, it'd be perfect.
yeah, that's why we're kind of cautious at our house where we put them because we have to make sure it doesn't touch the lines.
Yeah,
So we, right now, what we do is I create storyboards, I tape them all together, fuse them all together on these big plywood. And then we have guys that will literally pick it up, take it out there, we shoot it, and then once it's done, they bring it back, bring another one out, because we're we're restricted.
yeah.
Here, we won't have to do that. It'll be all laid out. We can go, for- if you said it's 207 feet, we can go center line this way, closer to the building. And not exceed that spot, and we can always, instead of, because it's a pretty big lot, from what I can see. We can do rows like this, basically, I guess what's that, north and south, instead of going anywhere towards the.
Amanda, I think the high schools would be the best option.
I agree.
If we can't get that, and it does have to get here, at a very minimum, just to cover the city liability wise and yourselves, we need to contact the Department of Natural Resources and talk about the river.
Yeah.
Because even though we say it's not going to,
Yeah.
all it takes is one to go in there and somebody see it, and it's a PR night.
Yeah.
And we don't want that to happen. That's my only point. So if we're gonna have it here, we need to make sure we follow the steps.
Yeah, or if there's another location that works better, but it's still within, because we don't want to go like clear out like Spencer Road to a somewhere, you know.
No.
Yeah.
We want to keep it local, that's what everybody's used to, that's where they're coming from.
And there's the girls softball field.
Yeah, there is,
Anything with a lot of land, but
yeah,
we were hoping to be a little bit closer towards,
Right.
Yeah,
the high school obviously is the best situation, right?
Yeah.
It's in town for the most part, it's got seating, and a big thing about the softball field, I like that too, the only thing is. Now we're getting out where there's animals,
Mhm.
I don't wanna be towards animals and mess with anybody's livestock, at least here,
Yeah.
I get people do have dogs, but they're inside for the most part, people know it's coming. before it's fly.
Yeah.
I don't want horses going crazy and stuff like that, people hate you, they
yeah.
already hate fireworks enough, we don't make it any
We
worse.
advertise like a month in advance, hey, just let you guys know, we do have our firework thing. Make sure your dogs and your animals are, because we have dogs ourselves, and, you know, we put on music and they sleep through. So, be prepared.
Yeah, last year, right on the main drag, we had an issue with alcohol and a couple guys were really wagering. We have it up there, we can control that.
Yeah,
And for the most part,
And over here a lot better too.
yeah.
like I walk the thing, and I told him like, hey, stay on the road.
Yeah, that was.
This
Friday,
is,
I remember
this
that.
is, yeah, we don't know who that guy was.
We
So,
don't believe it.
So we sit there and we educate people, like, hey, you're in that, you're in the kind of like the danger zone, so like, you know, just be cautious that if something does happen, you know, you are taking the risk of sitting here. But we always like put up a board so that it protects the crowd and like everybody knows, like, don't sit here, stay out of people's yards. But we do like a walkabout before we even start lighting so that everybody knows what to do.
And Chief, before you contact the Department of Ecology, let me talk to my next door neighbor. He's involved in the Lopez Island fireworks.
Yep.
I think it's the largest fireworks show west of the,
It's crazy.
it's not, and they do that on barges out in the sound. So
Yeah.
if there's anything with ecology, they have to deal with them. They just find out.
Yeah, so I'll make sure the base is covered.
So once you guys hear from the school, let me know and we can go from there. All right, perfect. Thank you. And then do we have any general public input tonight?
I have one happy bit.
Yes,
We have, I think, 55 kids signed up for the pumpkin growing contest.
I'm excited.
Yes, wow.
Because Halloween is Thursday.
We should probably talk.
Yeah.
You guys don't know.
Oh, yes.
We
Um,
are at Halloween.
Yeah.
So,
Across the counties.
yes. One last final thing before we wrap up. We need to make sure that council members are checking their emails at least once to twice a week, since Rachel does send out tons of important stuff that needs to be dealt with, so.
And I'd like to stop sending texts to you guys regarding your packets. So if I knew you guys were checking fairly regularly and you obviously know when meetings are and generally the Thursday before is when your packets are available. So I'd like to stop texting.
Yes, I need a new W4, W2, W4 for everyone that's getting. And then there's another letter, there's a letter in the email, so just check your emails, let me know if you have any questions. And then this PERS form, I need from everybody, I got all your stuff ready. I think I got your stuff too.
I would entertain a motion.
Yes, no, you're good.
I'll make a motion that we adjourn.
I second the motion.
Did you get us the W4?
Can I get?
It was
all
in the
favor?
email.
Aye.
I
I,
can print it. I put in the email that I printed for you too.
She said, kind of, okay.
We're all tied up here.